So, as you can see, the title of the talk is Distance Fields. I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes, at which time I think I'll get prompted to kind of move into a demonstration in Unity, where we'll actually look at some of the things that we talked about in the first 10 minutes. So, yeah, this image here, actually, on the title screen here, is it's a distance field that I found on Shader Toy. So is anyone here familiar with Shader Toy? Yeah? Yeah, that's a great resource. And it's on my last slide, so I kind of skipped to the end. But this was just rendered using gray marching, and this distance is, yeah, it's just some math, I guess, that sits inside of a inside of a volume. And if you know anything about noise, this is just fractional Brownian motion, which is just a bunch of noise functions basically added together to make an interesting shape. Anyways, what are distance fields? You get different definitions depending on where you look, but my own definition of distance fields is pretty open and generic. Basically, if you look at this here, this is an edge here that we're defining. So this could be in like a this could be seen as like an alpha of an image or something. It's like on and off, and then in a distance field, you're having a distance to that edge encoded inside of this. So there's a definition that I found online, but basically what it is it could be an image or it could be a math formula or something, but basically it's like the distance to an area of interest, which is generally a border or an edge. So there's the definition.
Why does it have zero outside and not negative value?
Sorry?
Why does it have zeros outside and not negative values?
So you're talking about like signed distance fields. This one's unsigned, I guess. I don't know. It could, like you said, it could have negative values running this way if this was the edge that we're interested in. This is an image I found online, and yeah, so it could be -1 from this edge if that was the edge that we're trying to find. And actually, I appreciate your question. Anyone feel free to speak up anytime, and that's kind of what I like. So this is something I'm very proud of. This is my homeland here, and so one of the things that Valve uses distance fields for is for a lot of their is keeping image fidelity and also compressing textures. So here we have, obviously, this is RGB. This could be a single channel and it could be smaller, but let's assume that this is red here. I think the reason I made it black is just so you can see that I took this, and from this I was able to obtain this image here, which is, if you notice, it's actually quite a bit smaller. And this had a process applied to it that basically if we're interested in that edge, this edge that you see here, it has values running in either direction, which is like your question. There won't be any negative values here, of course, but like 0.5 would be this edge going down to 0 and then going up to a value of 1. And so this edge is somewhere in the middle here. But you'll see after applying a clamp inside of the shader, this edge is not perfect. Part of this depends on the initial image that you have when you're running that process to get this. But you can see it's still, these lines are quite sharp here. And yeah, this is the result. So this is using the same texture here. just with a little bit of shader magic. So, and it's as simple as a clamp. So these are two functions that, if you're not familiar with them, they're used quite a bit inside of shaders. You've got smooth step, and then inside of smooth step you have a clamp function, which I think does all the work. This polynomial just makes this thing look nicer. It gives it a little bit of a curve at the top and the bottom, and so for graphics, it's kind of increases the fidelity, but also the cost. So everything you see here today will be using just a clamp expression. And what this is between the values of 0 to 1, which in image, everything is between 0 and 1. We're going to look at this area of interest here, which is this value here, and this is the image itself, and then this is basically the midpoint, I guess, of this thing, and or I should say it's the starting point. It's this value here. Anyways, this clamp expression you use quite a bit in combination with your distance fields. When you're working in a lot of 2D imaging, in 3D imaging, you're going to use your for volume rendering, you're going to be using your ray marching technique. So this is something quite common to artists. You see this a lot in terrain. You'll see this kind of really soft kind of blend between maybe a grass and a dirt, something. Here I've got some bricks and some, I don't know, plaster or something sitting on the bricks. So this was done in the 3D package, 3D modeling package. I just added a bit of color in one of the channels. And then here in the shader, I've added a clamp. This is supposed to be a line over here. So you can see that this is just lerping between these two colors here using this value that I've clamped. So this is the exact same, this is the red from the previous slide. This is the same information being fed in, but with a simple clamp applied. And here I've added, I multiplied this V color R, the vertex color R. I've multiplied this against the noise, and it's giving me kind of, I don't know, more reasonable looking plaster on this brick. So yeah, and this again is using the same data. I've just I've added another clamp, multiplied it in, and it's giving me a little highlight and a drop shadow. So this here is, I used to actually, in all my shaders, I used to load in an image of this until I realized that I could actually take the UV. So UV, of course, is running from 0 to 1 in the U and the V. You can take this UV and you can just do a distance. Distance is another, I should mention that clamp and a lot of these functions are native to the graphics programming API or whatever. So if you're using CG or GLSL or whatever, it'll be native. So this is just a distance which gives me the center of the UV space. And here is a clamp applied to that to make a shape. This was actually used in, this basic idea was used to create some eyes for characters in a project I worked on with that guy right there, with Ben. He did all the programming side of it, and I worked up the shaders. And we created analytically derived or parametric derived eyes, which were just basically sitting inside the shader. And I actually wanted to bring them to this presentation, but I wasn't sure if they were under some kind of confidentiality agreement or something, because the game, I'm not sure if it's been released yet. So, but I did create these effects for you all. I sat down and I created a few different effects. This one here, obviously, this is the classic paper burning into space or matte burning or something. This is a water type effect. You'll see these are like little waves coming off. This is all using that this kind of a gradient here. These two are anyways. This one here, I've started with some text, and then you'll see that I've added this little wave effect coming off of this text here. So there's a lot you can do. You can push this all over the place, and we'll look in these demonstrations a little bit at those 2D effects. So like I mentioned, your distance fields, we've looked at them on 2D planes and textures and things. It's obviously, that basic idea can be applied to volume rendering. And so these are a couple of volume renderings happening inside of Unity, where we're taking some cubes and some spheres, and one thing that's interesting is when you have a parametric equation describing a distance field, these can be combined into kind of morphing and different things like that, which you don't have when you have a geometry, like when you have like the traditional kind of rendering of vertices, and you have a hull or whatever. This is a lot more kind of for me, it's quite interesting because you can kind of do some really interesting things with it. And if you really want to get blown away and like really impressed and excited and motivated, is that 10 minutes? That's perfect. Then visit Shader Toy, and basically anything you find on there, I think it's all available. All the code is right there in the shader. You can import that across to Unity or whatever. And I briefly wanted to mention, if you're using Unreal Engine, Unreal actually provides, it's kind of unreal because Unity doesn't do it. They provide the entire scene to the shader. You can access it inside the shader, and they'll provide you the entire scene as a distance field. They provide you a 3D texture or something. And what you can do with that inside of Unreal is you can have information, say if you're creating like a stream. This is a classic example. You have a stream and you have like rocks dropping into the stream. And it's like, hey, the stream should actually change because this rock's come into the stream. So you see like the foam and stuff is gonna go around this rock now. And it's all because of access to, I shouldn't point at this because that's unrelated, but it's all in relation to this 3D texture that's being provided to the shader, which is describing the entire world around whatever that shader is trying to render. So yeah, I'm a Unity guy. I have been for a number of years. But I have been dipping into Unreal recently, and I was quite pleased to see that they had a solution. If I wanted to do something similar to that in Unity, I wouldn't do the whole scene. I think I would just do a single kind of slice through the scene. So I would render, say if I was doing water, I would render the water and the terrain as like into like a black and white image, kind of like the Canadian flag, and then I would maybe put like I would put a blur on it, and then I would use that to create any kind of water effect. So I will be doing that actually. It's one of my projects I'm looking forward to. Anyways, I'm going to skip now to Unity. Any questions at this point? Feel free to ask. There's about, I think there's like 7 minutes left or something. 6 minutes left, so feel free to ask your questions now. I'm just going to jump into Unity and just show you what some of these effects look like. Is that working well? Is that because I have two things open here? Is that better? Yeah. Oh no, this is awkward because I've got to try to navigate without seeing the screen. Does anyone see the mouse here? Oh, there it is. So this obviously is the volume rendering inside of Unity here. So this is actually just sitting inside of a cube. And if I move this cube, oh, I actually have it set up so it will move with the actual volume itself. Let's see, are there some scenes here? Which one do we want to look? Let's look at the burning map. I apologize for this. Don't save. Oh, that didn't render very well. I've just set up a Linux OS here, and for some reason my graphics card wasn't rendering that. So if I look here at the shader, where is this? Can I actually? No, I can't move. Can I? I just can't read on this angle here.
You might be able to get a mirror display from the computer itself.
Can you?
Rather than extending good stuff. But you've got like 5 minutes.
Yeah, got like 2 minutes left. I just want to find the shader here. It will be in distance field effects. No, I can't see anything. This was kind of like the most impressive one, so I wanted to show this. Anyways, imagine that. Moving in and out. What else can we look at here? Oh, let's look at the text. Where's that? Is that one?
Level 2.
Oh, okay. So this was the water kind of wave coming off of there. So this is just a gradient, and this has some time added to it, and obviously there's a bit of noise in there as well. What's this one here? Oh, yes. This is using the same effect. This was supposed to be text drawing along the line. So another thing you can do is go into Adobe Illustrator, and you can go gradient along path. And so if you wanted to say write, somebody says, oh, this is a particle effect, and it's really not. It's if I could actually look at the text here, where once again, this is just awkward. Not actually being able to. I should
If you go 2 up, it's text. 2 up from where you are.
Is text 2 up here?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. So thank you, Ben. So you can imagine this technique being used for like an island or something where you have like that kind of wave coming off the side. Yeah. Anyways, was there any questions at all from anyone? Yeah.
So if you go in a lot of, for example, say shader code, right? They do ray marching on 3D of these distance fills.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, distance fills are very tricky to compute precisely. Because of that, they often use approximations for them.
Yeah.
And the result might look kind of okay, and you won't notice the difference, but unfortunately, due to its imprecision, it might take way longer to compute than if it was precise. So are there any ways to kind of tell if your distance field is correct or not? Like, is it computed optimally or not? Because it might impact performance significantly without any noticeable difference.
So is your question about performance then in regard to ray marching?
Yes.
Yeah. I would go with the least precise, I guess. And I haven't seen a lot of examples of ray marching being used in games. It's used sometimes for smoke effects. They'll do like or volumetric particle system or something. They'll use volumetric clouds and things. They'll use a ray marching system, but that's a fixed step ray marching. I'm probably not the right guy to ask that question. I apologize if that's what you came in today to learn. My experience using ray marching in volume rendering is somewhat limited. So, but it's definitely a frontier that I am looking forward to explore. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Are you able to like make any of this stuff like accessible to us at all, so we can like have a look at the shader?
Yeah, I realize that like some of these concepts are, when you're first looking at them,
Yeah.
I know the first time I looked at the clamp,
I'm still like going through it in my head.
yeah, no, it's still, something to kind of look at and mull over and then try implementing yourself. I will make all of this available, where's a good place to make this available?
Yeah,
On
it's,
this is inside of Unity. Would you prefer it inside of ShaderToy? I feel like inside of ShaderToy you're going to find things that are much more interesting than this. But I think inside of Unity, this might be interesting. So, sorry?
Asset store?
It could be on the asset store. Is there something more local? Are you guys all local to the area?
yeah.
We're out of time.
You just provide your email address and they can contact you later.
Yeah, that would work. So maybe what I'll do is just write that in a text document here. And you can feel free to write down my private email. Do not give it. Actually, you could also contact me at work as well. Is there a text for Linux? Sorry, I just installed
like
OS.
K-edit or something.
What's that?
It's called like K-edit or anything under like applications or something.
Yeah, there should be something, eh? Let's see here. New folder. What if I just, I'll write it in a folder. How's that?
Yeah, let's. Yeah.
And, oh wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, I've run it a few times over the years.
Just hit Alt F2 and run gedit.
Alt
F2,
F2
for run, and then gedit.
Yeah, just write it in the command.
G.
G, just right
Yeah,
there.
Just write it there.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, thank you so much. I can also catch up with you after if you like. Can I change the size of this?
I think it's just Super Plus.
Super plus.
Or maybe you can.
Anyways, talk to me after. I appreciate you listening to the talk, and I hope that you discovered something interesting.